Good evening. This is your Tropics update for July 4th, 2021. We are still tracking tropical storm Elsa in the Caribbean, approaching Cuba. A lot of things happened since I last did an update on the storm. But right now, first of all, we're gonna take a short recap. Last time I did an update, it was a tropical storm around right here. Since then, Elsa did become a hurricane on approach to the Dominican Republic before weakening to a tropical storm, and then further weakening down to 60 mile per hour as it passed right between Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and now Cuba. At this point, Elsa is a mid-range tropical storm with 60 mile per hour and a very high pressure of 1,009 millibars, recount actually from 1,012 millibars at that last pass, which is very, very interesting as this is like not even a tropical depression. Pressure 1,012 millibars, even 1,009 millibars will be like a 40 mile per hour storm at most. So this is very surprising for a system like this. Either way, Elsa will be continuing to move northwestward into Monday before taking a jog towards Florida and then onto the East Coast, likely. The National Hurricane Center has it going over Cuba Monday and then into the Big Bend area of Florida and emerging back out and re-strengthening into a tropical storm, which is rather interesting. I was planning on making my own cone forecast today. I was unable to do so, but on tomorrow's update, I will have that for you guys. So first off, again, looking at that path currently heading up near Cuba right now, very close to landfall, right off the tip right here as it's really starting to take that northwest jog. We still have hurricane watches and tropical storm warning for most of Cuba. Not sure why those watches are in effect at this point. We also have tropical storm watches for most of the West Coast, as well as tropical storm warnings for the Keys. Those are likely to spread upward and potentially on the East Coast eventually. Again, as it does start moving generally northwest, it is taking a turn to the north a little bit earlier than anticipated. So there's a slight chance it could, go a little bit more over Florida. But at this point, it is likely to go just over the Keys. Again, looking at that cone forecast from the National Hurricane Center, you can see they are expecting that landfall point right, not in the Florida Panhandle, but very close to. They're expecting it to continue in that northwestern jog and then making landfall right around here, weakening to a tropical depression, at least on this forecast. Last forecast had it as a tropical storm right here for the remainder of its life before turning into tropical. This forecast does have a weakening over Florida. With that weakening trend of the storm. Again, impacts are possible on the East Coast. At this point, Miami, Broward area should be a little bit more out of the clear, but definitely possibilities for some impacts in Brevard County, Daytona Beach, and that general area. And of course, the entirety of the West Coast should really be keeping a very close eye on this, as again, the cone does start where the center could be, meaning the center could go like this, or could go in the Florida Panhandle, which is really quite a bit of a difference here. Because if it does go here, you have tropical storm force wind right here, and if it goes here, that you don't even have tropical storm force winds on the East Coast. So that's something we're gonna have to be paying very close attention to in the coming days. Again, here you can see where those hurricane force winds were at some point when it did become a hurricane, and here are those chances coming up the Florida coast. The West Coast at a 40 to 50%, and the East Coast at a 20 to 30% of tropical storm force winds. Now moving on to that IR loop, Elsa not looking the best at this moment. I do want to show you guys what it looked like earlier today here, and it did look quite a bit better here. If we just needed this to load in a second. But there's a chance that this has opened back up, as some indications show the low-level center did open back up. So that is definitely a possibility. But you can see this is what it looked like going over Dominican Republic here. And that was actually not very healthy. I was doing a CCC, which is cold cloud cover. and that was just meaning a weakening trend, and it wasn't actually strengthening. Overnight today, that convection really fell apart, and that allowed the storm to actually tried making an eye wall here. As you can see, it tried starting making that eye wall process on the northern side with those clouds tried wrapping around. Then on that southern side here, recon did end up going in and didn't find anything stronger than 60 mile per hour. The main reason for that is recon went something like this: came back down, came back here, went here, and came out. It never went in this area where the stronger winds were expected to be, and so it was unable to find those strong winds. After that, we did see Elsa kind of fall apart, and this is where it does fall apart. This is what it looked like for a while, and even worse, at some point, this is what it looked like, really falling apart. And at this point, it has continued to fall apart here. The center being right over this little bit of convection that is left. It's hard to tell whether it will get its act back together as it moves again northwestward, with that center being right around here and Elsa pulling northwestward. It still has a chance to intensify some. We do have convection right here, and then some convection trying to wrap around here, but nothing really organized at this point. But we do have a low level center around here, mid level center probably not stacked, probably offset to the southeast slightly. So that is definitely what we're looking at the moment. Looking at those model forecasts, again, National Hurricane Center, that big red line, right step in the middle. Most models shifted west a little bit more, so we're likely to see that. But right now, if you take every single model into consideration, this is kind of the cone you're getting at this point. Again, National Hurricane Center forecast likely to shift west a little bit next update at 11 p.m. tonight. But overall, a Florida landfall is pretty much 100% at this point. Whether it is a tropical storm or not, still hard to tell, as it is still on that weakening trend for it looks like. Now looking at its condition moving again into that Gulf of Mexico, as Elsa is going to be moving. You can see it located right around here. Elsa is going to be moving in the Gulf of Mexico very soon. It's not going to have a lot of time here, but it is going to be moving generally in this area before, again, taking that turn towards Florida. Now, conditions there seem to be fairly favorable. Actually, not as favorable as right now. But as you can see here, we're going to be getting a favorable wind shear, 5 knots. And we're going to be getting not really any dry air, a little bit of dry air in some places, but nothing really too bad. You've got some drier spots in the most western area, but really as it does move through here, it's not going to be encountering too much dry air, which will allow the storm to potentially at least maintain its intensity or intensify slightly. Still hard to tell at this point whether it is able to intensify or not a little bit more. Again, we're going to be looking at the most accurate forecast model for Elsa so far, which has been the HWF model, which had been able to predict Elsa fairly well this entire time. At this point, showing some strengthening as it approaches Cuba, showing quite a bit of strengthening before making that Cuba landfall, potentially back to Category 1 hurricane on this model run, and then really unable to re-intensify before that Florida landfall. If we look at the IR imagery for this, you get a little bit a better idea of what it's trying to tell us here. As you can see, this is fairly accurate to what the storm looks like right now. They're saying this will look like in 6 hours, but then it does blow up, and this is where maybe, just maybe, it is a hurricane in about 12 hours. That will be really its last opportunity to at least get back to 70 mile per hour before falling apart. And at this point here, you do see that we do have a open center with the center of circulation being right here and all that convection offset quite a bit to the east. And this is something they're considered to, as the center of Elsa moves, most of that convection will move also north, but will be offset. If you take that convection blob here, it is offset to the east, and maybe the west coast of Florida does get that center of circulation. They may not get the worst of the storm, and as it moves through, it does get its act back together as wind shear does stop a little bit, but still low level center of circulation right there, mid level center right here. So you can see still offset quite a bit in that convection, mostly on the eastern side, as we got a little bit of dry air and wind shear pushing everything to the east, and that does continue over the next couple of days. That does move through on the east coast. The most notable part is really right here as it moves off the coast of Cuba, and then you see it does try to blow up over the low level center, and does struggle to do so until that last little push on that specific run. Again, not necessarily accurate, just gives you an idea of the possibility. GFS run has not rendered out yet. If you look here on the GFS, we can look at the previous one here again. If you look at that convection, also showing maybe somewhat of an exposed center moving through towards Florida, and with most of that convection offset to the east of that center. So it is likely that that wind shear does start to rise off the coast of Florida, which is why those models are predicting this happening. So that is about all I have today for you guys. We're still looking at possibly quite a bit of impacts for Florida, especially rain-wise. If you look at that flash flooding here, we have quite a bit of a chance for flash flooding, as well as quite a bit of rainfall, especially on that west coast. Again, Elsa will be moving northward of the coast of Florida, kind of here. Convection likely to spread off the coast of east. So even if you live right here in, in Cape Canaveral, and the center makes landfall over here, doesn't mean you're not going to be getting impacts on that side of that system, as really the entire state of Florida could be getting quite a bit of rain and showers, as well as some gusty winds from the system. So just get your hurricane plan ready just in case anything happens. But at this point, we're trending towards a weaker storm, and I'll be sure to let you know if anything changes in the coming days. Thank you for watching, and I'll have more updates tomorrow.